Welcome to Being Humankind, with your hosts Brian, Mike, and Neely. We explore what it means to be human in a time of disconnection.
What has been your greatest accomplishment so far?
That is both very private and difficult to answer, but it's also very easy. So I'm going to answer it and you guys can use it or not. My greatest accomplishment is two. And actually, again, as a husband, as a musician, I don't know how to answer this because I value all these things equal because they make me. So right now I'm going to force myself to pick one, just for the record. But I do believe that all of them, that their totality of my achievements, make me. And I don't believe in singling out one. But if I had to pick one, I would say this. I have brought my Orphic mystery tradition to the United States, and more specifically to New York, for the first time in the New World in the history of this country. So the historical and esoteric value of this is of enormous magnitude in my head. In my head, even if there are 5 people who follow it, it doesn't matter. What matters to me is that I have planted a seed of value. And the second one is when I was 15 years old, my greatest hero was Plato. He still is, by the way, or at least one of them, Plato the philosopher, okay? So my dream was to compete and better him in initiation, meaning that Plato is one of these people who have traveled and has been initiated. There's confirmation historically that has been initiated into the most worthy mysteries of his time. Not the fantasy that is out there from various texts. I'm talking about archaeology. From the world of archaeology, we know that Plato has been initiated at least into the 3 biggest major traditions of the world at the time. And I have done the same and more in private. I cannot, it's beyond this meeting to explore this and mention names and traditions. And I don't want to do that here if you allow me to. But in my mind, it doesn't matter how others see it. In my mind, I have done it. Because that's what I set out to do 15 years ago, to surpass my hero in immersion levels. So I've done it. I will die a happy person. I'm not talking about surpassing Plato in magnitude. I'm talking about walking on his shoes, following his footsteps, and replicating his journey. I've done it in my mind. The second, as a pilgrim, I mean, not a philosopher. The second is that I brought my ancient tradition to the United States for others to enjoy, not for myself only. I have it. I was brought up in it. So I brought it for others to enjoy so we can have it as part of our worldwide cultural heritage. Not to compete with anyone or to solicit invitations or to make money from it, but just so we can have it for those who need it. So as a personal achievement, that would be my greatest, because I'm the first to do it in that, and it means a lot to me. It has never happened. The ancient Greek tradition, the mystical tradition of Greece, has never come in its totality in New York before, ever. So for me to do this and do it meaningfully and quite quietly, it is a difficult achievement that took years and a lot of personal effort and money and a lot of sacrifices. And I'm very proud of the end result. So I hope I have not sounded like a self-praising person, but if you honestly ask me in the quiet of my house and there's nobody else to listen, that's what I would answer. That is my greatest achievement, to honor my teachers, initiators, and ancestors by bringing it here without ridiculing it or getting it lost in silliness and superstition, but really giving it the dimension it deserves.
So I think that's interesting. And not to, I don't know if you know this answer, but why did it take so long to come here?
It took so long for 2 very important historical reasons. One is because it has been suppressed for 380 years and went underground because the Ottoman Empire and the Christian Church officially suppressed it by creed. So it was illegal to even mention that you are related. So it went underground and was kept quiet by certain families who were passing it to each other, one of them being mine. And the second reason is because of the natural secrecy of the Greeks. I want you to know, I assure you, this is not the only thing that survives from the ancient past in Greece. But because of the protectiveness, due to the multiple attacks from 1500 years from Christianity, the inheritors of the families of these traditions thought that the wisest thing is to pretend they don't exist, because when we opened them up to the world, A, they were harvested and appropriated, B, they were attacked. I would not answer like this to sound mean, but I want you to know, if you ever have the opportunity to read the chronography of the Greek tradition by Pierre Chauvin, professor from Harvard, who wrote the book The Last Pagans, the Chronicle of the Last Pagans, you will understand that I am too soft right now answering this. This is just being polite about it. He was literally abused, raped, attacked, and destroyed for over 1500 years and prosecuted with creed in my country. So you have to understand, it's not exactly easy for me. The first visible and resurfaced and reestablishment officially of this tradition happened in the late of the 1800s, beginning of 1900s in Greece. The reestablishment of actual mystery lineages and priesthoods. Unofficially, of course, and quietly, because the Christian Orthodox Church is still part of the constitution, because government and church in Greece are not separated like in the United States. So they are the official religion of the country. I cannot go out there and say, my ancestral religion is the official. As controversial, as silly as it sounds to you as an American in today's times, as this is how silly it sounds to me too, but there's nothing I can do about it. So it came here before me from another worthy gentleman who wants to maintain his right of secrecy, but he was not brought here in its entirety, and there was never a physical group. So I would like to acknowledge that effort, but I'm the first Greek who brought it in its totality and with a visible presence. And with no expectations to be taken seriously or be believed. I just wanted to bring it here and plant the seed. I don't care who will take it seriously or not. I just wanted to make sure it survives in a country that has freedom of speech and of worship. So, yeah.
So are you afraid of being persecuted?
No, I have nothing to lose, but members who are collaborating or have jobs in the government or are reputable families, yes, they will be attacked and ridiculed, and it may even be fired. Not today, but until a few years ago, until mid-90s, that was the case, yes. Specifically, my initiators and teachers who are coming from a very reputable family in Greece, I can't mention names here if you allow me to, they almost lost their jobs. One of them actually did. So just because they were associated with the worship of the ancient Greek gods and the Greek mysteries. So yes, it's still under heavy persecution, even though it has been recognized in Greece as a known religion. Now we're protected by anti-racial law. Sorry if I'm not saying it properly. I'm sorry. Anti-racism laws. Yeah. So these two, the heavy Christian persecution, the non-stop heavy, the relentless Christian persecution, and the prohibition of its practice publicly by the Ottoman Empire and the Christian Church, who they were co-ruling the country for 300-400 years, from the mid-1400s to mid-1800s, completely eliminated any chance for us to let you guys know, hey, we exist. So we kept it quiet, private, and we still do actually. Why do I speak? I have nothing to lose. I'm open about it. That's my job. That's why I'm here, to take all the hits. But others won't do that.
Well, it's just amazing to think in this day and age, you know, in a country as civilized as Greece, there's still this fear, because I mean, ultimately that's what persecution is, right? There's a fear that people are going to follow this.
Yes, it's fear to lose the central power in the government, because the Christians, the first thing they do, even in the early Roman years, was to enter and get high positions within the government. They became pontificuses, maximus. They took high positions. So I realized quickly that this is not really a purely religious organization, but also a militant one and a political one. So because the mysteries are purely the mysteries, they've never pursued, like the Hierophants of Eleusis, never pursued offices in government, like, those of Pericles in the 5th century, so to speak. So those two were not blended. Each one knew their place and function. And to be entirely honest with you, they destroyed the beautiful tradition, which is not to have an official priesthood. The ancient Greek priests were neither trained or coming from a background of a specific office, like they weren't officials, so to speak. There were locals who would serve as priests to a sanctuary 2-3 times a year. They were prominent locals, but they were never trained officials. So they made it into they made offices out of that, and we can't go down that road. We can't follow. That's what they're interested in eventually. They took central government. I'm not saying they didn't do good things also. I'm just trying to say that I realized that they care more about not losing their grip with co-ruling the country with the government. Because I have proof that the ancient mystery traditions didn't pursue that. So,
Well, I think we went on a tangent there.
Sorry, say that again.
I think we went sidetracked a little bit.
Yeah. I want you to know that I don't want to sound like an angry person. I just wanted to say the truth. And the truth from my side is that there's nothing for them to be afraid of. All we seek is peaceful coexistence. I never sought to destroy or replace anyone. I just wanted to be respected, that I exist and that I do my thing. Just to be on the record, I don't want to sound like an angry person. Yeah.
I think that's good.